Hey, welcome to Office Hours, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. All right, welcome. Randy, good question. Good to see you here. Welcome. I will answer that question here momentarily. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Looks like we got a good crew. Sorry, I'm running a couple minutes late. I just had to pick up my daughter from school. Not feeling so well today, so running a little bit behind, but I hope everybody is doing great. Happy Friday. Welcome to Office Hours. Great to see you. Awesome. Good. Thank you, Kek. I appreciate it. Sound check. 1, 2, 3. Let me know where you're coming from today, people. If you wouldn't mind, comment and let me know where you are coming from. I always like to know when we have folks on live where we are all at. I am in San Diego, California. Beautiful fall morning here. Feels very fall. It's just I did a walk on the beach earlier this morning, and it feels like I'm on a beach, you know, in the Northeast, Massachusetts or something like that. Sean Marshall in Carlsbad, I love it. Kyle in London, Ontario, very good. St. John's, Florida, Keck. David Cartwright, Dallas, Texas. Atlanta, Georgia. Anchorage, Alaska, very cool. Wayne, Michigan. Madison, Wisconsin. Salt Lake City, Utah. Wellington, Florida. I love it. I love it. Cool to see people all over the place. Got a little bit of international there. Thank you to Kyle. Bellingham, Washington. Very cool. Mitch, welcome. And I plan on very soon here getting some more events going, some in-person events. So I'm going to get on the road. I'm going to get on the road and come and see you guys. Maybe we can do some more kind of local kind of regional meetups and have a good time. Sean said, it's Friday, sipping the G&T now, Northampton, UK. Oh man, Sean, I'm jealous. That sounds great. All of that sounds great. Titus is in Dubai. I love it. Titus wins the Cool Location Award. Steve somewhere in South Carolina. Good enough, Steve. I'm going to put a link in the comments. This is the link if you want to join me on camera and have any conversation, share your screen, anything like that. That screen is, that link will get you here. You'll pop up backstage here. I'm using StreamYard for my live streaming. Great service. You'll pop up backstage here, so I'll see you there. And at some point, we'll get you onto the camera here when the timing is right. So if you'd like to come and join me on camera, have a conversation, you can hit that link. I just put it in there. Into the comments here, and we can have a little conversation, okay? Local Direct Media asks, what camera do I use for this training? This is actually just an iPhone. This is an iPhone 11. This is an iPhone 11, so I just took my old iPhone, and I'm using a software called, I'll type it in here because it's a weird name, Reincubate Camo. Reincubate Camo, which I have no idea how in the world they came up with that name, but that will turn your iPhone into a webcam. So that is what I use. The nice thing is, obviously with the latest iPhones, you can get, pretty darn high quality video. I could get better quality with a DSLR camera, if I were to get one of those. But with the live stream services, it downgrades the quality anyway. Because of the live streaming nature of it. It only goes to, I think it's 1080 HD. So I get that with my phone, no problem. For, YouTube videos and stuff like that, obviously, if I got a real nice DSLR camera, I could do higher quality. And I'll probably end up doing that. I am so about simplicity when it comes to any of these systems, and the ability to do things quickly and, be lean and be able to crank things out no matter where I'm at. And so that's why I use the iPhone, because I know for me personally, it's going to be rare that I'm going to be hauling around a DSLR camera or anything like that. That's not my life. So it works really well for me. And I think it's a cool option for anybody who wants a pretty easy way of doing these live streams and stuff. Yeah, and this is, Keck says the phone looks good, picture looks great. Yeah, this is the 11, as I said, with the newest iPhone, it's got that cinematic effect. And it's so funny. I'm such an Apple fanboy. I haven't gone out and bought it yet. Only because like, I feel like, okay, like I just got this phone how long ago? Like, you know, it's perfectly good. But I'm like, oh, maybe I just need to go get it. So I have the cinematic effect. And then Google just rolled out their newest phone, which is hooked up to Google Drive automatically, which I already use Google Drive and Google Photos and all that stuff. So, and it's got amazing picture quality. So now I'm looking at, well, maybe I need to get one of those just for my photo and video camera, you know, not even necessarily use it as a phone. So we'll see here. All this stuff is fun. I love technology, and we have certainly never lived in a better time to be able to create, right? Which is so cool to me. Any other questions that you have, go ahead and type them in here. And also, actually, Keck, I see you backstage. Before I go over and let Keck on and answer any questions that we may have coming in here, I wanted to just recap. For those of you who are using HighLevel or interested in HighLevel, yesterday was LevelUp Day, which is kind of their big day of the year where they talk about, you know, latest features that are coming and what their, you know, roadmap looks like in the next year ahead. And man, as a very big HighLevel user and one of their biggest fans and partners, I got to say that I am just incredibly fired up by what they're doing and the opportunities it's creating for anybody in that digital agency space. Jimmy says my head is still, his head still hurts. His head's still spinning, I'm sure. John says, watching from Victoria, British Columbia, says my Rode mic sounds good. Awesome. Thank you, John. I love it. If you are not familiar with HighLevel, I'll go ahead and pop this little banner up here real quick. Servicesthatscale.com/HighLevel. If you go there, you will get me on video there telling you about HighLevel and why I'm such a big fan of it and the major opportunities that it creates for anybody in particular that is selling digital marketing services, digital agency services, whatever you want to call it, to the small business community. They have just done a phenomenal job, and it's been just really fun watching them grow and the pace at which they're moving and the community that they're developing. They really are truly one of those startup stories that you hear about where they've just created so much goodwill in the marketplace, and they've struck such a nerve with their value proposition that they are just organically growing like crazy. I mean, like crazy. You know, they are completely self-funded. And I can't remember how many employees now, 100 and whatever employees. And I think planning on adding another 100 more here in the very short term. To do that as a self-funding business, you know, you really have to have things going really, really well. You know, you really do. It is a challenging thing to grow that fast in any situation, but to do it without having the deep pockets of a venture capitalist supporting you is just really impressive. So hats off to them in terms of what they're doing. And like I said, I'm just thrilled for the opportunities that it creates for anybody who is, you know, getting hitched onto that platform and using it to deliver services to small businesses. It's just got some really, really cool opportunities. Tim says, if you don't have HighLevel yet, what are you waiting for? Get it from Mike, please. Absolutely. Thank you. But I did want to recap some of the major announcements from that call and answer any questions if there are any questions associated with that. The major ones in terms of huge feature sets that are coming here very, very quickly is the ability to manage social media posting through the platform for your customers. That's a huge one. The ability to do WordPress hosting is a major, major one. So you can now be a hosting business, which is a great business. And then the massive integration with Shopify. Wow. That is just going to be crazy cool. And the opportunities that opens up for all of the HighLevel partners to then be able to deliver services to Shopify customers and Shopify stores. That is a massive marketplace and growing very, very quickly. Obviously, Shopify's just crushed it. And so the ability for HighLevel to then tie into that so that you can offer services to the Shopify store owners is so cool. Just those are all three huge marketplaces that now we have the ability to tie ourselves directly into from our services that we can provide and the value proposition that we can provide. So there's going to be so much that comes from those things in the next 6 months that I'm just super excited about it. And then honestly, I was just as excited to hear a bunch of the just kind of feature updates that they're doing. Real focus on speed of websites on the platform, speed of hosting. Speed of funnels on the platform. And they said that they plan on being best in class in terms of speed of WordPress hosting. Speed is such a big factor today, not only in SEO ranking, but also if you're driving cold traffic to any funnel pages or anything like that, speed is a big deal. People have no patience. If that page doesn't load right away, they're off to the next thing. So really cool to see them really focused on that. And then some really cool improvements in the workflows that I'm super excited about. And if anybody's not familiar, the workflows are how you visually create automations inside of HighLevel. And then the other big one for me personally that I know a lot of other people have been waiting for is that there is now going to be the company object in the CRM platform so that you can have what I consider to be a true CRM setup where you've got a company and then you've got employee records, or personal records associated with that company, and they're all linked together through the company record. That to me is a major feature that's missing in HighLevel that it sounds like is getting rolled out here real quick. So so many incredible things that they're doing. Again, if you haven't seen, if you weren't on that call, or you want to go back through some of those features, because there's a massive list of them. They have a replay up, so you can go and check that out, and I highly recommend that you do. And of course, if you have any questions about HighLevel, hop on one of these calls and let me know. Hit me up in one of my Facebook groups. Let me know. I'd love to help. I'm happy to help. Oh yeah, the one-page checkouts, Jimmy. Yeah, that's the thing. There's so many things that they created or that they improved that it's hard to keep track, honestly. But really good stuff. Really important stuff. Tie-Dye Digital says, I'd hate to work on his dev team. You'd never get any sleep. No kidding. Awesome, Sean. Thank you so much. Says, cannot imagine a greater opportunity with the latest HighLevel updates combined with Mike's training. I have no excuses now. I love it, Sean. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it really is just an incredible opportunity. And I feel, oh yeah, WhatsApp integration. Whoo-hoo, yes. Yeah, and I feel very lucky personally. My background and my skill sets fits exactly into what they're doing. And so I love that I can, it's a very clear value proposition to me, and I love that I can share my experiences with the community and help as well. It's cool. It's really cool. So anyway, that is that. And I hope that, again, people get the opportunity to go and check that out. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know. First question that I saw come in today came in from Randy. The very first comment on the post. Thank you, Randy. I love it. You're here, ready to go. He said, there's plenty of talk and information about the importance of getting client onboarding down to a science. Where's the best info in our STS membership, or perhaps a checklist? Okay. Randy, I admittedly need to do a good update for you on this topic because a lot of the content that I have on this topic was created a long time ago. Not that it's not still relevant. It is absolutely still relevant. It's just the format of it could be better. And so I need to work on that. But let me just give you my 2 cents on this. First, in terms of resources, Stick Strategies, Randy, Stick Strategies is an important resource. And then inside of my workflows for HighLevel, inside of the snapshots that I have I have some onboarding workflows there that I will be building out here in the very short term to have to be a little more robust for you. So those are resources for you. And I will do that update, like I said, on the training content on onboarding. But let's just talk about this topic here, because I think what's most important is that we just kind of think through at a high level what needs to be done and why. Because anything that I give you in the training is really going to be at that level. It's going to be kind of framework based versus necessarily being like step 1, step 2, because the steps need to be in sync with what the particular service is that you're offering, right? So it's hard for me to say just do these exact steps, okay? But what I can tell you again is the frameworks and kind of the strategy behind it that should allow anybody to develop something, okay? So the first thing is that it needs to match. Hey, Steve, welcome, and Daniel, welcome. It needs to match the service that you've sold. Okay. In other words, if you are selling something that is a higher ticket, higher hand-holding service, your onboarding process needs to reflect that, because somebody is investing more money. They expect some more individualized attention. If you're following more of the approach that I recommend, so highly to people, which is actually lower price points, more automated service delivery, things like that, then it also needs to match. And what I mean by that is that you then need to have an onboarding process that is also more automated and can be done at scale, okay? Because you can't afford to do a more personal hand-holding onboarding if they're paying you less, right? And then in particular, if you're bringing on a lot of customers fast, which hopefully you'll get to that point, then you can't do this one-on-one onboarding. So it's got to be more of a system that is in alignment with the service that you've sold. So the key things here are to understand a couple of points in particular related to your services and if you're using HighLevel. Number one is that your customers need to get activated, okay? Activation is the number one factor in getting somebody to stick long-term, okay? And by activation, what I mean is they need to be actually using the services, using the tools, and with your services and with your tools, there's a learning curve, okay? And depending on exactly what you're selling, that learning curve can be relatively steep. It can be relatively high. And just human nature, even if they went through all the work of signing up for your services, that does not mean that they are going to take action, unless somebody pushes them. And so you have got to have an activation process. You have to deliberately design, here is how we are going to get somebody from signing up to actually using our services and our tools as quickly and efficiently as possible. And you need to understand that you're going to have to drive that. You're going to have to drive that. And again, that doesn't mean that you have to drive that as in you are doing everything, but it means that you need to have the reminders in place, the automation in place to see, have they filled out that form yet? We need to collect information from them in a survey before we can get them activated. Have they filled out the survey? Well, the great thing is in HighLevel, if they haven't filled out the survey, you can continue sending them reminders. And over time, those reminders could escalate to a point where it tells somebody on your team, hey, pick up the phone and call them and do the survey with them, right? So you can escalate that, but you have to drive it forward. You have to make sure they get activated, because if they go 30 days and you're a monthly service and they don't get activated, and then that next charge hits, there's a whole bunch of those people that are going to go, oh, I'm too busy for this. I don't have time for this. Why don't we just put it on pause? Why don't we cancel it for now? That type of thing. You can't let that happen. After all that work that you did to sell, you can't let that happen. So you have to drive activation. Okay. So that's one major, really, really important point. Okay. Number two here, from again, just like a strategy and philosophy perspective, Your long-term success will largely be determined in those first 30 days with your customer. How you lead them, how you respond to questions, how quickly you get back to them, all that good stuff in that first 30 days is critically important, because everybody to some degree or another is looking for a reason to justify to themselves that, oh, maybe they made the wrong choice and they need to get out of there, right? Like anytime somebody gets sold, they're always looking for some sort of proof that salesperson kind of screwed them over. Things were too good. Those promises were too good, you know, all that type of stuff, right? It's just, again, it's human nature. So if they come into this all excited and they bought and they're looking at getting their marketing straightened out and you made some good promises and all that stuff, and then you don't treat that first 30 days as if you're still selling somebody. And that's really what it's got to be like. That first 30 days has got to feel like you're still selling them on staying with you, right? And doing your best, putting your best foot forward. So those first 30 days are really important. Particularly in services like this, or offering tools like HighLevel. Once they're using them and once their data is in that system, it's much harder to leave, right? Much harder to leave. So we've got to get them activated. We got to get them feeling confident in what we're doing for them in that first 30 days, okay? And then when it comes to the scalability of the onboarding process, there's a handful of things that I have found are really important, okay? One is that you've got to be thinking in that high volume kind of group mentality, both from a cost structure perspective and just an efficiency perspective. So what I mean by that is, if I develop an onboarding process that requires us to have a one-on-one meeting before anything can happen, really, getting a one-on-one meeting scheduled with people can be difficult. It can be hard, and people have busy schedules and then they push something off and, you know, yada, yada, right? And so that is a big bottleneck in getting things done, versus if they sign up and right away they come to a membership area that you've set up an onboarding membership area. And in that membership area is a video from you where you're essentially having the conversation that you would have with them if you got them one-on-one, but you're doing it in video. And now every one of your customers that came on can all go and watch that onboarding video at the same time, right? So, and in that video, you do indoctrination, you do confirmation that they made a good choice, right? And I say indoctrination, you want to continue to sell them on why it's a great decision that they worked with you, right? And what you are going to lead them. You're still in that process of leading them to a better place, right? You sold them on, hey, hey, Mr. Chiropractor, you've got to be a more effective marketer if you want to grow your practice and get beyond the point where you're at, where you're still in there cracking backs every day and you're not sure if you're going to have a consistent load of patients this week or not, right? So you sold them on this vision of being a better marketer and investing in their marketing chops, right? And that you're going to help them do that. Well, when they buy from you, that first conversation, that first welcome video, you want to continue that messaging. You want to continue selling them on, again, you made a right decision. The thing you need to do strategically as a chiropractor is become an efficient marketer. We've got all the tools and resources to help you do that. You're in the right place. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. Now let's get you started. Okay. And you've got to clearly outline those next steps and, again, drive those next steps. It is my recommendation that in most cases, then what you do is you direct people to a survey. There's almost always some information that you need to get from them to get them activated, to get their system set up properly, right? And so some sort of onboarding survey where you're collecting that information. And again, the great thing is if they don't fill out that survey, it can trigger all kinds of escalating follow-up from you, right? Pushing them. And then getting that survey, then that should give you the information that you need, again, to really get activation happening. Whether that survey automatically populates something in the HighLevel snapshot, or whether that survey then goes to somebody on your team or you that you then use to get the service fulfillment going, whatever it is, that information collection should be done right away. And you should, again, be monitoring it. If they don't give you that information, you're pushing, you're following up with them. And then the last thing I would say on this is that anything that you can do to eliminate them having to do something to get activated is a good idea. Okay, so let me give you an example on this. This is an important example that I think a lot of people can learn from. Okay, many of you know I'm a big fan of websites as a service. Doing free websites as a service, and so we signed up hundreds of customers on that offer first month right away. Okay. What we quickly learned was that we could not wait for our customers, even though we were going to do a free website for them, right? We could not get people to respond to us, to just take the time to fill out the damn survey, to give us the information that we needed to build our website. A very high percentage of people were just too lazy, too busy, whatever. And again, that's human nature. So just expect it, okay? And so, yeah, exactly what Tim just said. We just built the dang website. We would just build it. And you may be saying, Mike, what a waste of time and energy and all that good stuff. Yeah, but it gets the customer to stick. And when you think through, okay, hold on here. If I'm going to build a website for this guy and I know it's not going to be right, I know that there's going to be changes that have to happen, but what could I do to get a V1 version of that website up quickly so that he'll be impressed enough that he'll be excited, and then we can get him moving forward, right? So if Keck is my new customer and I can't get the survey information from him, but he's got this dog old tired website, and then 3 days later, we just reach back out to him and go, Keck, hey, we know you're super busy. Apologize if you find this in any way intrusive, but our team just took the liberty of looking at your website and going ahead and building something that they think would really represent your business well and be exciting for you. So if it's not exactly right, no sweat, we're going to tweak it for you, but I think you're going to like what you have. And then you show them the website. And here's this really nice looking professional website. You've put some good photography in there. You put some good copy in there. That's all just templates anyway. And then you put their logo on there, their phone number on there so that they can see themselves and see their business in that new website. Boom. You win. You just won. You got a customer there. Okay. So anything that you can do to just push the thing forward without waiting on the customer, do it. Just do it. Okay. Because it's all about that first 30 days. So you've got to, as much as possible in your mind, just somebody put in there, always be closing. And that's right. Keck put in there, always be closing, right? That first 30 days, you're still selling. So if that's your mindset, design a process around how am I still continuing to sell this customer? What am I going to do that's going to make them absolutely thrilled that they signed up with us? That's how you win in your onboarding process. Okay. I will give you much more details in training on that. But hopefully that gives you, again, kind of strategic high-level overview of how to approach this. Okay. Let's see here. Other questions? Actually, so Keck, are you ready? Give me a wave of your hand if you want to come on board. Awesome. Perfect. How's it going, sir?
Hey there. Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you. How can I help you today?
All right, good. So question for you about the restaurant market. I know last week I told you all excited. I had this great idea, which is still great. But the next day, a friend of mine, a digital marketing friend, brought another opportunity for me, and I'm investigating it as well. So are you familiar with Gloria Foods?
Yep.
Do you have any feedback on that? I'm thinking about basically doing that,
I don't have any current feedback on it. I don't, other than, it's been out there a little while. And so I think it's something that, people are definitely familiar with. It's out there. There are people who have been selling it for quite some time, for probably at least a good year now. And so just, I would look into the market and see what you think the opportunity is. My impression is that, well, and actually I should say, my knowledge of it was really the whole digital menu space. So I don't know if there's other offers that they have around that
Well,
or not.
yeah, it's basically they have 4 products which they fulfill for you, which is great.
Okay.
4 core products: website, payment gateway, and then some SMS and email marketing, and then a mobile app. Along with that comes delivery service, commission free. So whereas the Grubhubs and the Uber Eats charge maybe
Yeah.
an average of 20% per ticket, there's no commission. It's just, once they buy this, they're in with a network of delivery people in their
Cool.
area, and there's no commission. So that's kind of the big value proposition I see. Struggling restaurants, COVID, everybody's have to go on digital if they're going to make it,
Yeah.
and just to
Cool. So I
provide
think
some value.
cool. So all of that sounds good. Let me ask you, how do you make money? What is the model of how you make money with them? Is it you price services however you want, and then you pay them a flat fee for that website and a flat fee for that digital menu, or how does their model work economically?
Yeah, basically they have 2 models: an affiliate model where you make 20% commission and just sell under their brand, or a reseller model where you can sell it, brand it yourself, and then you buy the service up front and then resell it at whatever price and bundle it with whatever else you want to sell them.
Okay. So here's really, really important thing. So that affiliate model, you'll never make enough money to live.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So 20% will never work unless you already had a massive audience of restaurants that were paying attention to you, that you could then just say, hey, everybody, sign up for this. It's awesome. And they go and sign up, and you literally don't have to do anything other than promote it, and you collect your 20% recurring. Great. But you don't have that. You're going to have to go out and sell. 20% will never work. So
Right.
what is the price point? I don't know if you've been able to determine this yet, that people are out there selling this suite to restaurants. Is there like some monthly fee that you're kind of seeing a range or something like that, or how's that work?
Yeah, 150 up to 500, maybe
Okay.
300 in the middle.
Okay, cool. So those are decent price points. And do you know what the margins would be after you pay out Gloria Foods based on their reseller model?
Yeah, they're very good. I mean, like, their website costs $9 a month is
Okay,
the
cool.
cost. So yeah, it's really good upside. I mean,
Okay,
you mark
cool.
it up at least 100%.
Okay, cool. So yeah, and so that's what you would need to do. I mean, 100% is the bare minimum. And so just so everybody understands the math on this, because I know people get a little confused sometimes on the math. If you mark up something 100%, that means you have 50% gross margins. Okay, so if I have to pay $1 for something that I can sell for $2, that's a 100% markup, right? It was $1. I added another dollar. That's 100%. But that is a 50% gross margin. So I'm selling it for $2. I take away the one that I have to pay. I'm left with 50%. So 100% markup is 50% gross margin. 50% gross margin is the bare minimum that I would recommend to anybody selling services in this space. And it really is the bare minimum. I really would not want to see anybody get into the business typically unless they're getting more like 65, 70% gross margins is what I like to see. That it just gives you so much more financial slack in the system to be able to pay for your marketing, pay for your sales, pay for your service delivery, all that good stuff. So highly recommend that anything that you're doing, that you're getting more like a 67. So if you do the math again, if you do a 67%, let's do some math. Everybody put in their guess here. If I wanted a 67% markup, what would I have to, I mean, a 67% gross margin, what would my markup have to be in percentage terms? Don't say it, type it in. Everybody type it in the comments. Okay. If I wanted 67% gross margins, what would my markup have to be in percentage terms? Okay, so this is important math. This is one of those things where I would love if by the end of the office hours calls a month from now, everybody on these calls is just, I know my math, Mike. Yeah, okay, Mark got it. Mark got it. Mark Robinson, you got it. You're the first winner. Yamil, no. Keck, no. So Mark got it. Mark, make sure and get your address over to me. I'm going to send you your very own leverage hat here as a reward for knowing your numbers. Knowing your numbers in business is absolutely critical. Okay. So yeah, so this is the thing that a lot of people don't get when it comes to pricing and understanding margins. And you gotta know this stuff. You gotta be able to eat, sleep, breathe, you know, all these numbers. Okay. If you want 67% gross margins, right? To get to 50% gross margins, I had to double my cost. Okay. To get to 67% margins, gross margins, which is just 17% more is the way your brain kind of processes it. You have to go another 100%. You're essentially have to have a 200% markup. So again, if the thing costs me $1, okay, to get 67% gross margins, I have to sell it for $3. Okay, so I had to take that $1, double it, and then again, another $1, right? So it's 200% to get the 67% gross margins. So you've really got to have multiples of your cost to start getting those margins up. Okay, and that's so stinking important to understand, right? So if you start doing this math and continue to do it and play around with the numbers to get to 75% gross margins, then what do you have to have? To get to 90% gross margins, what do you have to have? And then you start to understand why software businesses with 90% gross margins are so stinking attractive. Because to get those gross margins, you are at many times, right? The cost. 90% gross margins is 10 times the cost of your service delivery. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Keck.
Yeah, so I just pulled up what I was working on. So that the standard package, I had the middle one. My cost would be $57. I'm gonna charge $247. So I don't really know how to do
$247. Yep, cool.
The calculation on that, but it sounds.
Yeah, so that's essentially what 80% gross margins, right? 50 divided by. Let me do my calculator.
Yeah, how would we calculate that? Walk me through what
50 divided by 250. Okay, so your cost divided by your sales price, okay? And that in that case, it's 0.2. So 50 divided by 250 is 0.2. So 1 minus 0.2 gives you your margins in decimal form. So that'd be 0.8. That's 80%.
Okay.
So that would give you your gross margins. Okay.
Okay.
Gross margins, gang, are the most important number to understand in business, certainly as a startup, to become a business where you start generating cash. Gross margins is what it's all about. Okay. So in business school, we used to say cash is king, gross margins are queen. Okay. Everybody understands that cash is king. We got to have that cash, but gross margins are the thing that drive cash. So 50% is the bare minimum. And now you can understand why, because when I say, Keck, you should be at 67%, your mind was probably going, it's only 17% more, not a big deal. It's actually another 100% markup on the cost of that service, right? So it is a big deal. You're getting a lot more cash to work with to feed your business. Okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
So can I ask you another question about this market? So I'm hoping it's possible, and you're going to tell me, oh yeah, I know a bunch of people doing this, but to sell to restaurant owners from right here, like over Zoom, rather than, going in and, to the actual restaurant, because, they're busy usually.
Yeah. It's absolutely possible. Okay. It's absolutely possible. Here is my number one concern in, here's my advice, I should say, on this topic of selling to any niche in the small business community. Okay. Number one, how are you going to differentiate yourself? You're going to differentiate yourself primarily in today's world through content. Okay. If you have content out there where you are leading people in the restaurant space as to how they can be more successful, how they can make more money, right? You are going to stand out, and you're going to have that restaurant owner that couldn't sleep at night because he was doing dishes at 12:30 and is so frustrated that he has to do his own dishes still, laying in his bed at 1:30 in the morning, watching YouTube videos about how to make his restaurant more profitable, and he's going to be listening to Keck. Okay. So by far and away, establishing that brand, that trust, that credibility through content is the thing that is going to make the sales process dramatically easier and more effective. Okay. So that being said, if Keck, you tell me that you're doing that, and then your sales process is an over the phone, over Zoom, all that type of stuff, I say, no problem, just fine. If you tell me you're not doing that, and so what you're going to be doing is the good old standard reach out, outbound prospecting, now you are competing head on with all of the other companies that are out there doing that. There's a lot of companies that are out there doing just good old cold prospecting to restaurants, trying to sell them marketing systems. Okay.
Right.
So some of those are very well funded to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capital. What they know is that you will always do better if you can meet somebody in person. And particularly in an industry like that, where they're so busy, they're literally running around. A restaurant owner is literally running around all day, all night. First time maybe they get to sit down at a computer is going to be 1 o'clock in the morning. Or it's just in that little window in between the lunch shift and the dinner shift after they've, made sure all their servers are showing up and all that type of stuff. And they have that little window where, okay, I'm going to try and get on the phone and talk to Keck here real quick. But during that time, somebody from such and such marketing company walked in and sat down at the counter and ordered a sandwich and said, hey, Mr. Restaurant Owner, I'm Mike from Super Duper Marketing Services. I know you're super busy right now, but I just wanted to show you that I set up this little demo using your website and we can generate more, customers for you right away. So you are always going to have the advantage if you can sell in person. Those companies with the $200 million in VC-backed funds are investing in that. They know that, and they'll send somebody out on site. So you just got to be aware. Absolutely, you can sell remotely over the phone, over Zoom, all that type of stuff. I've been doing that for a dozen years, so it will work. But you got to understand, particularly in that industry, you're gonna have to differentiate yourself, or it's going to be a really uphill battle, I think.
Okay.
And content is the answer.
Yeah.
Content is the answer, and everybody needs to hear that. Content, more content. If you're not creating content, then.
And you may know by now, our short time together, that I'm all about video. So yeah, that would be my jam, is YouTube channel and just daily shorts. And
I think I think in that market, Keck, exactly right. I think shorts, TikTok, YouTube shorts, Instagram, you just got to be all over Instagram. Restaurant owners are all over Instagram. Instagram is the hottest platform for local and for restaurants. TikTok certainly has to be right up there with that, though. Those are two platforms I would be all over, and then I would be driving people to longer format restaurant videos as well. Longer format training videos, I should say, as well.
Right. Okay.
YouTube. Yep.
All right, cool. Any parting advice in general over the restaurant market, selling to restaurants?
Any parting advice? No, I mean, I love the market. I think it's very important to be very realistic about their challenges. And I think actually, so yes, parting advice would be to really pick your niche within the restaurant space. And by that, I mean, primarily, are you going after image-based restaurants, or are you going after more price point focused restaurants? Okay, is it image and experience, or more price points and convenience? And I think that's where the restaurant landscape is really dividing right now. You're either one of these 9 billion quick service restaurants that are out there in today's world. The value proposition is convenience and price. It may also be, it's oftentimes in today's world with a healthy benefit, right? You can get good, fresh food, organic stuff, all that, but it's easy to get it because we'll deliver it to you and it'll be at the right price and all that. You're either in that world, or I think that you're in the world of restaurants that are image and experience focused. Okay. And so that's the restaurants that I love to go out to at night here in San Diego, and I'll drop $150 on dinner and have 3 craft cocktails while I'm there. And they've literally designed every inch of the environment so that it's an experience as soon as I walk in. And they designed all of that for Instagram. I'm in there taking pictures so I can post them on Instagram, and so is everybody else, every foodie in town. They're very different markets and very different needs, okay? Those restaurants that I was just talking about, the image and experience focused, they don't care about a Groupon deal that will get people coming in at, a discount. They don't want to offer a discount. They don't want anything to do with being seen on Groupon. But quick service restaurants, show me a coupon strategy that I can get the benefits of Groupon without having to pay Groupon so much. Shoot, yeah, we'll run that, all day long. So very different markets, very different needs, and the way that you present to them and the way you package your services and stuff needs to really consider that.
Okay. Very good.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate you coming on board. Let's see here. Kyle says, I'm curious why you're attracted to restaurants. I don't know if he's talking to me or he's talking to Keck, but you can let us know there, Kyle. Mark says, hey, Mike, I'm using Keck, Jimmy said Gloria Foods is easy to integrate into the Go High Level websites. Cool. So you should know that, Keck. Mark says, hey, Mike, using a website template from MSP Academy, not a funnel template. Cool. The one-step order form is only in the funnel builder. Do you recommend using Go High Level Funnel Builder versus Website Builder? Mark, I recommend both. So have your website using the website builder, but then build your sales process using the funnel builder. Okay, so you just match everything up aesthetically so that they look, obviously the same brand and everything, but you'll use the funnel builder to actually create the funnel pages associated with your sales process and have the checkout page and all that good stuff on there. Okay, so I recommend both. Okay, and let me know if there's any follow-up on that or if that makes sense. Jimmy says restaurant operators are always running around even when you schedule a time with them to drop by. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very hectic market. That makes it challenging for sure. Definitely makes it challenging. Okay, any other questions that you have, send them in. That's awesome. Tim Fandrick says that he's been telling his team, build it as if they aren't going to fill out the survey. And he said, it's been changing our business. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, Sean says, with Go High Level, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on going full SaaS mode, right? I love the model, but it seems that pricing is way less than what we might charge for a full services agency, right? Yeah, okay, Sean, good question. So Sean is asking, and it's actually, I know your reference point is with High Level, but it's really, should I be a full service agency or should I be more of what Mike talks about, the services that scale model, where it's productized services, lower price points, not custom, recurring revenue. And Sean, I'll answer that question from 2 perspectives, okay? If what you love is being a creative, I love developing websites and making them the most beautiful websites in the world and all that type of stuff, then if that's your pride and joy, then being a full service agency could be the thing for you. Okay. What I would strongly advise you though is stop selling to small businesses. Start selling to larger companies that can pay you what you're worth. Because it is a horribly difficult model financially to be a full service agency selling to small businesses. The only ones typically that make any money whatsoever are the ones that have been around for like 20 years. And so they just have that core base of customers that have been with them forever and they're not going anywhere. It's just kind of habit and routine. That's my guy for helping me with my website. And so they have essentially gotten to this point where they have revenue coming in and don't really have any sales and marketing costs at all. But it took them, 10 years of, eating beans and rice, to get there, right? And then at the end of the day, they still haven't really built an asset. They've built an income for themselves, but it's a very difficult business to sell, So if you're going to do that path, you got to love it. There's got to be some other reason for you doing it than, making money and building a business. So if you're going to do that, if you love that kind of work, just sell to much bigger companies that can pay you much more money, because they will. The same logo design for a small business that's $250 is $25,000 for a medium-sized company, and $250,000 for a larger company, or $2.5 million for a larger company. And it's the same damn logo design. So, and I say it's the same damn logo design. It's not really. Obviously, the company paying $250,000 for the logo, they want a more strategic process. They want to know, how did you come to, why is this logo this way? And why is it this font versus that font, and this color versus that color? But you may be doing that work and that thinking for small businesses anyway, and just not getting paid for it. So, if you are selling to small businesses, it is my absolute firm opinion and experience that if you want to build a real business, and when I say a real business, what I mean by that is something that you're creating asset value. You're creating something that could ultimately be sold and run without you, and deliver financial returns that are investment quality returns. Somebody would put money into that to get money out of it. Those are, to me, those are real businesses. It's got to be lower price point, non-customized service, highly automated service delivery, recurring revenue. You just can't get around that. There is no model that proves otherwise. You cannot find a company that has scaled successfully at higher price, more customized services to small businesses. You can't. Believe me, I've spent my entire career looking for them. I've watched the ones that look like they were going to make it and raise tons and tons and tons of VC money, only to then fold and collapse in big, ugly ways. So if you want to build a real business, it's got to be the productized services, more automated service delivery, non-custom, lower price points, high margin, recurring revenue, period. It's here. Okay, and Sean says that makes sense, but I'm wondering then, with such a low cost per client for pure SaaS, like $199 to $499 a month, how do you have the budget to run ads to scale quickly? Well, you've got to get creative, Sean. You've got to be creative, because in reality, in most cases, your cost of acquiring your customer is going to be several times your monthly revenue that you're getting from them. So you could spend, $1,000 in ads to get your $399 a month customer, right? Very easily you could do that. And then you may also have to, pay commission to a salesperson as well. So you have to get creative. You have to either be able to fund that by, putting some money on your credit card, or you got some savings or whatever it is. That's why companies raise venture capital as well, to pay for that growth. Or you've got to have a model where you're charging customers upfront, at least maybe a percentage of that, but doing the annual fee upfront type of thing to get them to pay, so that you're collecting more cash upfront to cover that cost of customer acquisition, or bundling some sort of other additional services or a course or whatever it is on the front end to fund that growth, right? That's what ClickFunnels did so well, right? Is Russell Brunson knew how to sell the information products that gave him the margins to cover the customer acquisition cost, so that then the software revenues and margins he was bringing in, were pure gravy, and he could afford to continue to invest in the growth so quickly. So you got to get creative, Sean. It's got to be those, a combination of those things, or all of those things, or at least one of those things, that allows you to make more of that investment to scale more quickly. Okay, but growth requires cash. Growth requires cash. It either is cash from investor, cash from debt, or cash from customers, right? And so if you're getting that cash from customers up front, then you can use that cash to pay for the acquisition costs. If you're not getting it up front, you got to figure out some other way to pay. Okay. Tim Fandrick says, oh, cool. And Sean, yeah, if you have, I'm sorry, I see your post that says you had more details of the question above. Hopefully that's what you asked below, but if you need me to cover anything else, just let me know, okay? Tim Fandrick says, if anybody wants to see some of our Go High Level websites, I can share a few examples. That's awesome. Go for it, Tim. Paul says, after LevelUp Day, do you think we can use Go High Level for email newsletters now? Ditch MailChimp for good. If not straight away, then in the very near future. Paul, I think in the very near future for sure. And actually, I think in a lot of cases, the answer today is yes. I think in a lot of cases, the answer today is yes. Okay, so it's important to understand why I am still not using them for broadcast newsletters. And the reason why is because the way that you select lists to mail to in High Level is still goofy. And I do so much segmentation of my lists that in order for me to send a newsletter out to everybody, it starts to get just goofy in that system. And you know, it's too much overhead. It's just not easy enough for me. But if you're a chiropractor sending a newsletter to everybody on your list, right? You're not doing any crazy segmentation like Mike Cooch is. It's totally fine. Absolutely. And if you are a marketing service provider, a marketing agency, and you're just sending your newsletter out to everybody on your list, yeah, it's probably absolutely just fine. So, and I love, yes, the new RSS to newsletter feature. That is something that I have been, I'm going to take full credit for introducing him to that, whether or not he will remember and give me full credit or not. But it was a good, I don't know, it was a good 18 months ago or so when I first met him in person. And I said, dude, you got to build this in. This is such a powerful feature and how we're doing our newsletters at scale. And I've offered newsletters as a service to agencies for years and years and years. And so I said, you know, if you would build this in, this would be a home run. And I'm glad to see them following through on it. It's awesome. Let's see here. Other questions. Tim says RSS will be awesome. Still needs a few tweaks, but I think they'll get there. Okay, cool. So Tim sounds like he's played with it already. That's awesome. Let's see here. A couple of updates just to give and some things that I think are important for all of you to be aware of. Instagram is consolidating all of their video formats into one videos channel on the Instagram platform. That is a big thing, I think, from a marketing perspective, because Instagram has Instagram stories, Instagram reels, Instagram main feed videos, and IGTV, 4 video possibilities on that small little app on your phone. It got confusing, which made it difficult from a marketer's perspective to know how to fully take advantage of video on Instagram. But Instagram has declared quite clearly that they are a video platform now, because they have to, because they are competing against TikTok, and they were getting their butts kicked by TikTok. And so they have consolidated all of that video now into a video platform. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't even mention live stream video. So that was actually 5 different video formats. So you have got to kind of wrap your mind around video on Instagram, but they're making that easier. And I think that that's actually going to make Instagram's video platform much more successful here in the near term. So I think that's a big opportunity for everybody. And you'll see me on there on Instagram doing much more. If you're not following me on Instagram, it's at Mike_Cooch. I'll go ahead and type that in right now. Be sure and follow me, and you'll see me doing some video. I just put that in the comments right now. Richard says you can also create posts on Instagram from desktop now. That is a big deal. That's very, very nice. Matheson Marketing says, what exactly is an RSS feed and how does it fit into the marketing program? Cool, good question. Matheson, an RSS feed is a feed where it's like if you publish something, that feed will alert other systems that you publish something, and it will give them essentially access to then view what it is that you published. So you publish a new blog post, this feed alerts, you can subscribe to the feed. And if you're subscribed to the feed, it will alert through that feed, hey, Mike just published a new blog post, here it is, okay? So it's a way of making sure that you can distribute your content to interested people and interested platforms very efficiently and make sure that they know that you publish something new, okay? So super, super smart, and it's been around forever. Glenn said, typed in there, real simple syndication, and it's used in all kinds of ways already that you're certainly benefiting from, just not necessarily aware of the technology behind it. But so from a practical perspective, what this means for you is that you can set up an email newsletter for your agency or for your customers, and you can tell that newsletter to pull articles from all these different sources through RSS feeds and automatically format them and put them into your newsletter. So that you've got this nice newsletter that says, hey, Mike over at Surfaces at Scale just published this great article on whatever. Here's the quick synopsis and the image from the article, and click on it and it'll take you to his blog, right? And then the next one could be, whatever guru, Gary V just published this on his YouTube channel, on his blog or whatever, and it pulls that in. So now you got this newsletter where you're curating content. So it just gives you a really nice, simple way of putting together a newsletter full of content in a really, pretty darn automated way. Greetings, Mike, and everyone from Poland. That's awesome. Welcome. Brent says the RSS is great, but the formatting for the email newsletter could be wonky in my experience. Yeah, that's my experience too, Brent, as well. So my experience is that if you're going to use this strategy, you still need, in most cases, not to say that you can't get around this, but in most cases, you need somebody still to review the newsletter and do some final editing before it goes out the door, right? It's got to have some degree of human intervention to add some context to it, maybe do a little bit of formatting, a little bit of editing of the language that's in there. You generally don't want to just pull it from someplace and have it drop in the newsletter and then go out the door. Again, there are cases where you can make that work, where, as an example, you can set up the sources that newsletter is pulling from, and then you can make sure that the sources publish that post exactly right, so that when it goes into the newsletter, it will be formatted correctly. You can do that, and that's the type of thing that I've done in the past. If you're offering this as a service, that's probably what you would have to do. So this is easier to show. I'll put together a demonstration of it here at some point soon. It's easier to show than it is just kind of talk about, but those are the things to be aware of with it. But it's cool. It's cool technology. It's cool that HighLevel has baked it in. Regardless of whether or not you need to have human intervention or not, it's still going to make getting newsletters out the door much easier for a lot of people and allow you to create some cool services around that. Let's see here. Glenn says, I also beat Sean up on RSS, but really need an email API and go HighLevel to trigger automatic email campaigns. Yeah, that's cool. Awesome, Matheson Marketing. Thank you so much for being here. Glenn, you were there. I'm assuming, though, you heard him call you out by name about the company object in the CRM. That's got to have you excited. The other thing that I didn't mention in that kind of wrap up of the LevelUp day is that Go HighLevel is rolling out their new SMS platform so that you don't have to use Twilio anymore. And that is a big deal. It's a big deal just for the ease of setup of the system, but it's also a big deal for many of you who are international and you're in markets where SMS through Twilio has cost you a lot more money. And this is going to be, I think, a really nice opportunity for you to be able to offer SMS services at a much better price structure. So that's very cool. Yeah, Glenn says he was there when he got called out by name. Yeah. Jimmy says elbow cough, yeah. So lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff coming in that platform. Very, very cool. All right, what other questions? Anybody have any other questions? Type them in, let me know. Anything that I can do to help? Yeah, Brent says, yeah, seriously, just make it simple for future clients too, like DNS setup. Yeah. Tim says, so you could use RSS for the local media newsletter? Absolutely, Tim. Absolutely. I use RSS to feed the content into my Their San Diego newsletter. I still edit it then manually. I do an editing process, but it saves me a ton of time. Makes it much, much easier. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Let's see here. What other updates to share? Pinterest just added a vertical video format. So the Pinterest app now has vertical video, 1 minute or less videos, just like TikTok, just like Instagram Reels, which, you know, Pinterest has been kind of a sleeper social media property unless you are, you know, in e-commerce niches. It's a very, very powerful property. It's a very, you know, I mean, it's got a lot of traffic. It's got a tiny amount of traffic compared to, you know, Instagram and TikTok, but it's still got a lot of traffic, and it's got some pretty cool capabilities related to e-commerce. And that video platform, I think, is going to be a big deal. So if you're in any way on e-commerce, you should check it out, but you should probably just check it out in general. Just head over to the Pinterest app on your phone and take a look. Vanessa says, back to what Sean said earlier, are we thinking of the MSP model of more long game and adding to our client base every month with automated services if we want to scale up to 5 figures a month? Yeah, so Vanessa, the way I think about this, if you haven't looked at my spreadsheet, if you have looked at my spreadsheet on building out a financial model related to you know, more productized services, let's say $397 a month type services. Actually, here, let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. Hold on 1 second here. Just seeing if I can, oh, there we go. Find this quickly enough. Yeah, awesome. Hold on, let me share my screen here and I'll show you how I think about it and how I recommend that you all think about it, okay? So this is a modeling spreadsheet that I have for my MSP Academy customers in particular, but I'm happy to share this with everybody. And what this does is this shows you how to calculate monthly recurring revenue. Okay, so Vanessa was asking about 5 figures. Okay, so this spreadsheet gives you the ability to play with some assumptions. You can see here, model, best, probable, worst. So I've given you some guidelines here based on metrics that are out there in the industry. And then this model is actually pulling off of this column. So you can put whatever you wanted to in this column. You can change this up and these numbers will change. Okay, but you can see here, if I assume that you get 50 visitors to your sales page a month, and you're growing that at 5% every month, okay? And 15% of those customers become a trial, a free trial, okay? If you're offering some sort of free trial. If you're not offering a free trial, no problem. We can just kind of, you know, mess with these numbers a little bit to get you to a different, you know, model here, but it's all good. And then you said 25% of those convert into paid. And let's say you're doing $497 a month and you have 2% monthly churn, okay? This is how that model then works out. Okay, so Vanessa asked, what about, you know, how am I going to get to how am I going to get to 5 figures a month? And you can see here, this happens pretty darn quickly, right? So pretty darn quickly. But really, the cool thing is that it continues to scale up, and that's really where the benefit of the monthly recurring revenue, the lower price services, is that they stick. You'll have customers that are with you for years and years, and so the money piles up over time. And you can see here, these are very modest assumptions: 2 customers a month, 2 customers a month, 2 customers a month, 3 customers a month, 3 customers a month, right? This is not assuming any sort of really rapid growth at all. It's very modest numbers. You can see how it starts to add up. Now, what causes people to go backwards is that they have a customer that comes along and says, well, I'll pay you $5,000 to do such and such project. And you're like, oh, $5,000, that's awesome, right? And so you do your $5,000 project, you spend all your time focused on them, you don't build your sales pipeline, and you did custom work, you really made barely any money, right, doing that. And now you're starting over from scratch again, and that's what I call the cycle of doom, and that's where most small agencies get stuck forever. So this shows you how you can build that recurring revenue using a much more modest price point, and have it stack up. And it just really does not take that long to get to a point where you've got something decent in. Now, in the short term, in these early months, you might be saying, Mike, I can't live off of $2,800 a month or whatever. I get it. So in those early months, what you should be focused on is, how do I sell one of these customers on a prepay? Or maybe you've got to do some sort of upfront whatever that you're getting paid another $1,500 to get somebody on board, right? There's lots of different options, but you've got to strategize to get some more upfront cash to get you through that hump. But the key is, you've got to sell something that is within what I call within process of whatever this is that you're selling at $497 a month. You got to sell something related to that, so that you don't get completely distracted and stop selling these core services. If you stop selling these core services, you're dead in the water. You got to be building whatever that core service is. You got to be focused like crazy on that and building it month after month, every single month. Okay. And again, these are super modest numbers. You can absolutely grow much faster than this. You tap into one good marketing channel, you get one good ad campaign going, you get one, whatever. And, you could have 10 customers come on in a month, 6 customers come in a month, right? I mean, if you start growing by 6 customers a month instead of 2, these numbers are dramatically different, right? Here, I'll just go ahead and share this spreadsheet with you guys here. I'll just make it easy. Okay, and I can view, copy link. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this in the chat right here, and you guys can enjoy. Okay, take that and play with it, and let me know any questions that you have. All right. Awesome, Daniel, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Says, first time here signing up. I have tried to contact Stripe to sign up for credit card processing. No feedback. Are there any other credit card companies that integrate with Go HighLevel? Well, that's a bummer. I think right now it is just Stripe and PayPal, I think is correct. If somebody knows better, feel free to correct me. But I believe that is it for now. It's weird that Stripe hasn't gotten back to you. Where are you at, Daniel? Are you not US based by chance? If you're not US based, that might have something to do with it. But gosh, I would think you'd be able to get somebody there to help you. Oh, Glenn is in the studio. Glenn, I can't see your camera though. It says you need to connect the camera. Tim says, I've completely shifted my pitch to start with annual pricing versus monthly. That's awesome, Tim. I love it. Thank you, Vanessa. You're outside of Chicago. Yeah, that's really weird, Daniel. I don't know. I would just stay on top of that. Just be persistent as heck. Glenn, I still can't see anything on the camera. Hopefully we can get you on here. And if not, Glenn, maybe just type in your question and I'll help you that way. All right. Any other questions? Let me know. And let me see here. That is weird, Daniel. Oh, Brent says, what am I most excited about for high-level updates? Boy, that's a good question. There are lots of just little features that I'm actually super excited about just from a usability perspective, because I use HighLevel all day, every day for every business now. So, lots of little just usability things get me very excited. But I would say from a platform like opportunity perspective, I would say the things that they're doing to speed up funnels is really important, really attractive. I think that WordPress hosting is a very big opportunity that everybody should be able to capitalize on and make some good money on. So that really excites me. I think like the integration with Shopify is huge, but I think that's only going to benefit a certain percentage of our audience because, not everybody's going to be selling to Shopify businesses. So I am personally, I think, most excited about the WordPress integration or hosting, I should say. And then I would say I'm also very excited about the SMS platform replacing Twilio. I think that's a big deal. John says website funnel speed is really, really good now. That's great, John. I love that. That is good to hear. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Mike. You're a star. Just realized I've been following you for 8 years. That's awesome. I love that. Well, thank you very much. I love having long-term members of the community. It makes it feel real to me, which is great. Oh, Clark says the whole media tab and folders is great. Also, yeah, that's the thing, man. The list of stuff is so big, right? But yeah, the media tab and folders is it's one of those things that's just like, oh, this is a lifesaver, right? Richard says, have you noticed pages in HighLevel have a bunch of code on them, even if we haven't added objects to the page? I have noticed that, Richard. Howard, one of our community members, pointed that out to us recently. Yeah, and I don't know what that's all about. I'm hoping that as part of these speed enhancements that are happening, that some of that is getting cleaned up, because I do think that that is a part of what's causing things to slow down. It's also interesting, HighLevel gets blamed for a lot, right? If your pages aren't loading quickly, then your pages, then HighLevel tends to get blamed. And I actually put some of my pages into Google speed test. And the cool thing is, that test then shows you what it is that's causing things to slow down. And I was actually really shocked. What was causing things to slow down on my pages is that it was my Wistia embeds, which I would think that Wistia would be designed to not slow anything down, but it's my Wistia video embeds. It's all on all my sales pages. That's actually the thing slowing down my pages like crazy. So nothing to do with HighLevel, right? But HighLevel gets the heat. If my page isn't loading fast, I immediately go, oh, HighLevel, right? So Let's see here. And I'm not sure how to say your first name, so I don't want to really mess it up. But Islam, how does Go High Level new SMS work? Can you explain a bit? So it is an opportunity. You don't have to, but it is an opportunity to use their platform instead of Twilio. So it will, deliver SMS messages just like you would with Twilio, but it will use High Level's proprietary platform instead of Twilio. So that just gets a lot of the Twilio stuff out of the way. So one, it's, I think, going to be cheaper, but two, setting up with Twilio and registering with Twilio and their new registration process could be a total pain in the neck, and they charge you, and you have to do that for every customer that you sign up on the platform. You're not going to have to do that with High Level's SMS service. You're just going to be able to bring a new customer on. SMS is immediately turned on for them. No setup process, no registration, no paying extra fees, no nothing. So very, very big deal from a service delivery perspective. Glenn says he may have audio working and just not video. Let's check it out.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Something's got my camera and I have everything closed, but I can't free up the resource. So
yeah, that's cool.
Hey, good to see you. And yeah, I guess I'm infamous now. It's Sean, aren't I?
Yeah. That's awesome.
I in all fairness, I beat them up a lot. So I guess, I get my messages getting through. But
yeah, it's all good.
What I want to ask you about is the whole, social media content. This is a big topic you've been talking about for a while now, being everywhere and putting out content. So on a personal level, just to get that out of the way, I'm really not a big fan of social media, right? I just think it's a big time suck and a whole bunch of stuff. But, from a business standpoint, I get it. So here's the issue. Like, how do you balance, or how do you get customers on these different, social media platforms when they have no interest in being active on them? They don't want to they're not replying to people. They're not, it's like, how do you, what do you do in that case? Is it wise for me to be posting to social media platforms on behalf of my clients, and they're never going to reply to those people, or never going to look them up and interact with them? Is that?
No. Yeah. Nope. And first of all, congratulations, Islam, here on this comment. I love it. I'm glad to hear your success. Keep on trucking and keep us posted. That's awesome. So Glenn, great question. No, so hey, my customers don't care about social media, don't value social media, don't really want to invest any time or energy into social media. I don't believe that you should be selling anybody anything that you have to convince them on the value. I really don't. I think that, it's one thing for me to sell you a chat widget, and Glenn goes, well, I've never seen a chat widget like that before. Why do I care? And then I have to sell them, well, Glenn, here's the deal. You know how people come to your website and then just go away, and that's 95% of people? Yeah. Well, this chat widget pops up and I capture 20% more people. Oh, okay, good. So I had to sell them and convince them. Okay, no big deal. But, and Glenn, I didn't mean to kick you off there. I think it just happened maybe because of your connection or something. But something like social media is strategic. It's strategic to their business. Whether or not they want to admit it, or they place any value on it, or anything like that, it is a major strategic driver of how the world operates today, from a business perspective, from a social perspective, just human nature, right? So if you're dealing with somebody that just says, social media, do not waste a minute trying to convince them of social media at this point. Okay, if this was 10 years ago, okay, maybe you want to spend some time convincing them. Today, if they're not convinced, don't waste your time. Move on, provide them with a service that's not related to that, something that they value, and move on to the next prospect. You are wasting your breath. And just as Glenn said, is it wise for me to be posting on social media if they're not going to interact and follow up on social media? No, it is not wise. That's a total disaster. That's exactly what Facebook and anybody else does not want. Social media is meant to be social. So if you're going to post on social media and then not respond to any of the comments, not follow up with anybody, not answer their questions, then no, that is absolutely doing the wrong thing for your business. So nope, don't do that. Don't spend any time trying to convince them. Okay. Daniel says, as a soon-to-be new user of Go High Level, you mentioned focusing on one marketing system or product that can be built. Would reputation management be a good service, or do you suggest something else? So actually, Daniel, I want to make sure that what I've said is not being misinterpreted. Because I don't think that, like necessarily just focusing on reputation management is the right thing or the wrong thing. What I think is that you should either typically be focused on an industry niche, so restaurants or something, or you should be focused on a functional niche. So that could be reputation, could be video editing, it could be podcast editing, right? So there's a function that has to happen in marketing related to your customers that they need help with. And you may choose to become the expert on video marketing or podcast editing or whatever it is, right? So choose either to do that or choose to be the marketing resource for restaurants. Okay, that's a vertical focus. Typically one of those two need to be done. Okay, but let's say that you decide to choose to focus on restaurants. You are most likely not going to be able to be just the reputation solution for restaurants. And the reason why I say that is that you're going to have so much competition out there that is selling to restaurants, that is selling more than just the reputation solution, that you're going to probably lose out to those companies that are selling a more easy button complete solution. And the restaurant's going to go, oh, you'll do all that stuff for me? Great. Yeah, I'll sign up with you. Versus if they sign up with you and you're just doing a reputation, well, I still need digital menus. I still need, whatever. So now I got to find different service providers to do those other things. That's kind of a pain in the neck, right? So you can focus just on reputation, but if you're going to focus just on reputation, you probably need to have a service that you could sell to a variety of markets, right? Not just one. If you're going to focus on a vertical industry niche, you probably need to have a variety of solutions that come together to sell to that industry niche so that you can provide a more complete service to them. Okay? So I hope that helps you. And then specifically, Daniel, what services you decide to sell and provide, I really cannot answer that question when you say, would reputation management be a good service? Well, reputation management is a successful service that's being sold by a whole bunch of companies and a whole bunch of markets. So yes, but the reality is it needs to be driven by the customer that you're deciding to serve and what are their needs. So you need to decide who it is you're trying to serve, and then you need to understand their needs and design services to meet those needs. Okay? So if you're selling to restaurants, their needs are different than if you're selling to doctors or lawyers or, somebody else. So you really need to do that homework of understanding your customer first. Okay? Awesome, Daniel. All right, we are going to wrap it up on that. That is a core lesson of entrepreneurship, right? We need to know our customer and understand their needs and design solutions that fit their needs. That's probably entrepreneurship 101. Throw in a little bit of manage your cash and you're good. So we're going to wrap it up there. I've got to get to my next thing. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Appreciate your time and attention in your business, of course. Welcome to the community for all the new folks out there. Thank you very much for being here. And of course, thank you to all of my long-term community members for being here as well. Love all you guys. And we will see you on the next office hours. And we will see you in the Facebook groups and all that good stuff before then. I'll have a new YouTube video out for you here in the next day or two. So be on the lookout for that. And there you go, Mark. That's your new hat coming your way as soon as I get your address. And we'll be doing actually some more giveaways here on this YouTube channel coming up here real soon. So make sure you're coming back to these, okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a great Friday, great rest of your day here, and great weekend. And we'll talk to you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.